Hello, everybody. It's Lynn, the Leather Bag Lady. It's Friday afternoon, and I decided to continue with my series on my own personal stash of vintage leather bags. Bit of a special one for me today because I'm going to be talking about just one brand, and it's the brand that kind of started this whole thing off for me. I've always appreciated leather. I've always appreciated quality bag, shoes, whatever, but I never really was into purses per se. Was that correct? Yeah, I probably was more into shoes than I ever was purses. And then 1990, I moved back to the UK. I was born in Glasgow, Scotland, moved to England for about 10 years or so. My dad was a professional soccer player. And then when my dad's career ended in the UK, he still felt he had a lot to offer. And the CSL, the Canadian Soccer League, was supposed to be starting 1980. My dad felt he had a lot to bring to that whole world. We came in 1980. The CSL didn't start, and we stayed. I went back to the UK in 89, 90. I had been married for 18 months. It was a disaster. And I went back to the UK. My mom and dad were already there. They were in Birmingham, England. My dad was the youth coach for Birmingham City Football Club. And I went back just because I wanted to do something different. And I ended up staying. So the journey of Birmingham City Football Club is kind of linked with this whole story of mine. Birmingham City Football Club in 1989-90 was in a real bad way. Kumars, who owned Primark, owned Birmingham City Football Club, and the club was in an intense amount of debt, and they were for sale. And David Sullivan, who is a soft porn magnate in the UK, decided to buy a soccer team. Why not? And he put a 21-year-old lady at the helm. And she and I became very good friends. In fact, we actually became roommates. And that is where my whole luxury brand education began. This girl, Karen Brady, was incredible. We had so much fun. We got into so much trouble, and we did so much cool stuff. We would we just got into a lot of trouble, and we would get the papers on a Sunday morning to see if any of it had made the papers. None of it did, but we had a great time. And she introduced me to Louis Vuitton. And from that point forward, I absolutely fell in love with Louis Vuitton. I don't know why. Um, and it kind of continues today. I have my own little collection of Louis Vuittons, which I'm about to share with you, and the stories that go around with them. But this girl was incredible. I mean, I remember walking into the bathroom one day, and there was a 30,000 pound, not dollar, a 30,000 pound Cartier watch on the toilet tank. Just laying on the toilet tank. Could have fell in the water, could have fell. Like, she had no concept of. We went to Asda in the UK, which is kind of a Walmart. And I think Walmart has actually now bought Asda out. And she could not believe that you could buy clothes and food in the same place. And she had a baby blue Porsche 911, which I never got to drive. And that's a one regret that I have. But she just parked it in the handicap parking. Who cares? And I remember being in the store, and the loudspeaker with the owner of the da 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 da, please remove your car. And she just threw her keys at whoever was the greeter. Can you move my car? Like, no concept whatsoever. But we had a very interesting time, and I learned about these brands, Escada and Max Mara and Louis Vuitton and what was the other? I can't remember the other brand, but I remember we'd go into this little boutique in Solihull, which is a little kind of uh, outskirt of Birmingham. And she bought this jacket, and it was a beautiful jacket. And we walked in there, and we looked like we were bums off the street. And it was a very Pretty Woman moment. The lady came up to us, and Karen had this jacket on, and she said, "Oh, Terry Cooper's wife has just bought that jacket." Well, Terry Cooper was the coach of Birmingham City Football Club. Karen hired Terry Cooper, or I think Terry Cooper was already there. I'm not sure. And she was like, "Bitch, I'm his boss." And so she put the jacket back because there was no way she was going to walk into the boardroom wearing the same coat that Terry Cooper's wife was wearing. It was a world I knew nothing about. But the one thing I did hang on to was Louis Vuitton. So 1994, I get married, and I got married November 19th, 1994. And for Christmas that year, I got an Alma bag. Now, my ex-husband, God bless him, went to Harrods in London and stood beside, what was his name? He was a pro golfer. Handsome guy. Can't remember what his name was. He was a British pro golfer. And there they both are standing at the counter. And Martin bought me an Alma bag. Now, this Alma bag has a story. So let me show you. This is the original Alma bag that I was given for Christmas in 1994. This poor bag has been through the wars. Now, this is probably, as far as the history books go, this is the most iconic Louis Vuitton bag. I think the Speedy probably challenges that now. But as far as this source of information, this is the iconic Louis Vuitton bag. It's no longer made. It's definitely a collector's piece. This poor bag is a mess. So 2004, we had a flood in our house. And it was, what happened was, living in Canada, it freezes. So I went into the kitchen and I turned on the kitchen faucet. Nothing came out. Now, in the UK, you put a basin in the sink. I don't know why. It's what my mom did. That's what I did. So there was a basin in the sink. Now, the key element of putting a basin in the sink is the drain is not accessible. Because once you put a basin in the sink, you've blocked the drain. So I guess I did not close the tap. The tap was open. So over the process of the day, over the course of the day, the pipes thawed and the water started to run and the basin filled and it started to overflow. So I came home from work that day and I was ankle deep in water. And that water went down into the basement and ruined my Alma bag. So we had insurance and we had the insurance company come and they took all our stuff because it was clean water. And that was the key part as far as they were concerned. They felt that they could return our stuff to us because it was clean water. It wasn't sewage or anything like that. So they ended up informing us that they were going to pay us out and they wanted to know the prices of things. And I had this bag and another bag. The other bag that I had purchased used. But this bag was my first bag and I still had the receipt. I still have the receipt to this day. And they wanted to know how much this bag was worth. So this bag, I think it was 1,500. Was it £1,000 or something back in 1994? And I showed the receipt And then I had another bag that I had gotten secondhand that I didn't pay anywhere close to that. So I basically was given free range to go to where the Louis Vuitton store on Bloor Street here in Toronto, Canada, to repurchase 2 purses, which I did. You better believe me. My ex-husband and the 2 kids, they were little wee guys. We walked into that store and I thought they were going to frickin' pass out because Harry and Sarah were picking this up. They were picking that up. And we walked in there and I looked at 2 bags, one of which I have since sold. Had a really rough year a couple of years ago and I had to sell. It was a city bag and you got to do what you got to do. But I bought that one and I bought this one, which I just love. So I bought this myself from the Louis Vuitton store. Now, the only issue with this one, which I probably should go and get addressed, is, oh, well, I don't know. One of these little flaps seems to be stretching. I think it's this one. Yeah, it just seems to be stretching. And I carry a lot of stuff in my bags, so I didn't want to ruin it. So anyway, I purchased 2 Louis Vuitton bags. I think it was over $4,000. They were freaking out because, like I said, the kids were picking up the shoes. They were whatever. So my love affair with Louis Vuitton has been a journey. It absolutely has been a journey. So I get paid out for the 2 bags that were damaged. And then about a month or so, 5 weeks down the road, the company that came and did the disaster control or whatever, they came and dried out our house and gave us fans and all the rest of it. I can't remember what the company name was, but it ended up, I ended up having a relationship with somebody who was refurbishing this guy's car down the line, whatever. Anyway, they called me and they said, do you want your bags back? Now, the one that I had gotten secondhand was gone. So I got paid out for the 2 bags. I replaced the 2 bags. And then I got the original Alma bag back. So, I mean, it is, I've used it since, but the zipper was all green and I mean, I have a hard, it's tough to, but this was my original Alma bag from Harrods, London. And the strap didn't come with it. I think the strap was $300. So my daughter, I have a little Pouchette as well. And my daughter has the Pouchette. And she had the strap for the longest time and used it on the Pouchette. And I asked for the strap back. She still has the Pouchette. She looks after things beautifully and she's welcome to it. That was my introduction to Louis Vuitton. So I got this bag back and here we go. So I'm pretty wired into fakes, and there is the one thing that I did learn later on in the day was let me see if I can find it. Yeah, it's probably not very visible on this because this is really quite damaged. But let me show you on this guy. There is a channel. Maybe you can see it on here. There's a little channel that is carved into the leather, and my nail is running down it right now. Most of the fakes do not have that channel. And then the god-awful red plastic crap that is on the fakes is the telltale. The other thing is the uniformity of the fabric. So this is coated fabric, and then you've got your Vachetta leather. So nothing ever goes on sale at Louis Vuitton. They burn the excess stock. Nothing ever goes on sale. Now, what happens sometimes, and I watched a documentary on this, is every now and again you'll come across what's called a super fake. And as far as I know, what it highlighted in the documentary is a lot of these, oftentimes third world countries are, and it's all very controversial, they are the ones who are putting the bags together. So what happens is Made in France is basically a kit is provided to the workers. So the leather is all cut out. It's all ready to go. It just has to be assembled, and it's assembled in third world countries. Every now and again, some of those kits get smuggled out, whatever, and they put these bags together on their own time, and they are now presented to the world as a super fake. So they are legit to the point of almost, and I came across one a few years ago, and it actually, what it was a prop in a movie. And I bought it. I was convinced it was authentic. And the only thing that I was educated to say that it wasn't real was that channel was missing. And apparently that channel is very, very difficult to replicate. So I had my city bag, which I've sold. I have my Puchette, which my daughter has. The Alma, which I shouldn't have, but I have. And I can't remember the name of the bowling bag. I call it the bowling bag. And then I purchased this, which is my business bag, I guess. I think I've used it once. And I think, is the channel any easier to see on this one? I don't know if you can maybe, I don't know if it's any easier to see here, but there's that, my nail's in it again, that channel. So here's my business bag. I don't look after them nearly as well as I should, and shame on me. You know, it's I got this off of eBay actually, and it came with a bunch of paperwork and all kinds. I think I paid $500 for this. I'm not sure. And that was like maybe 15 years ago. But I love this brand, and these bags will be buried with me. I do have the lock. I'm not sure which one I have the lock for, but I do have the lock. And I don't know if there'll ever be any other ones in my future. I've got 3, 4, 5, one of which I sold, and one of which my daughter has. So, Louis Vuitton, it's just, they started out as trunk makers, and the whole thing with the whole bag business, when the railroad came into play, the aristocrats wanted their lady folk to have the same luggage that they had. So that's how handbags started, because they went to their trunk makers and said, could you please make something smaller for my wife, for my girlfriend, for my whoever, to carry on the train, on the boat, on the ship, whatever. And that is how purses came to be. And then you had, I did a insert in a video earlier that was the little drawstring leather pouch that housed seeds, because seeds were currency. If you could feed your family, seeds were it was the most important thing. And the gentleman would carry those little drawstring pouches on their belts in medieval times, and they were close to them so they couldn't be stolen, they couldn't be lost or whatever. And those seeds were able to be planted, and you know, food was able to be given to their families. So that's my next installment in my vintage bags. All of those bags are vintage. The Alma was purchased for me in 1994. They no longer make it. The bigger bag, I can't remember what the name of that one is, and I don't think they make that anymore either. And the smaller size briefcase, they don't make that anymore either. The next one, the only one that I think I would want to get is the duffel. Speedy doesn't do anything for me. It's not a shape that speaks to me. But the smaller duffel bag, one day I will get that. But two of those bags came from the actual Louis Vuitton store, one in Canada, one at the Harrods store in London, Knightsbridge, and the briefcase was from an eBay seller. And my daughter just recently bought a bag from a seller, so she sent me the pictures and, Mom, is this real? Is it? And I did my very best to try and authenticate it for her. I'm not an expert in any way. All I do is give you my opinion as an owner and as somebody who has actually purchased from the store. So I have an example that is absolutely legitimate because I purchased it from the store myself. So it's just my thing. Gucci, I can take it or leave it. Fendi, I can take it or leave it. Dior, I can take it or leave it. I've got some beautiful boutique Coach bags that I like more than some of these Balenciaga, like that City bag. No, thank you. I think that's the ugliest thing. That whip stitching, I think that's the ugliest thing going. But we all have our taste and we're all entitled to our opinions, right? But Louis Vuitton and the monogrammed, I know it's controversial to walk around with somebody else's initials, but the history. And I've got all the history in front of me, but I don't know. I know enough about my Louis Vuitton that it's one of the most faked brands in the world. And I remember actually this is important. Maybe I'll share this with you. On Yonge Street in Toronto, this would have been probably 2001, we found a seller on Yonge Street, retailer selling fakes. And I went in there the one day with my ex-husband and I wanted this duffel bag. And my ex-husband talked me out of it because he said, you know what, let's just save up and get you the real thing. Don't buy a fake. But I've been told on more than one occasion that Louis Vuitton is actually the creator of the fakes as well as the real ones. Why would a luxury brand opt out of the multi-billion-dollar fake market when they could take part in it? And from a commerce perspective, it kind of makes sense to me. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. The retailer in that store told me that Louis Vuitton creates the fakes as well as the authentic bags. And then I watched the documentary about the super fakes and how the workers smuggle out the kits and they put them together on their own time and sell them as super fakes. So a fake on Canal Street, I think it is in New York, will cost you like $50. A super fake will cost you $400. And the real thing will cost you $2,000 Canadian. So this is the next installment in my vintage bag, but this is where it all started. My Louis Vuitton is where it all started. And from there, look what's happened. Leather bag lady, and I sell bags for $20. And I have no interest in selling luxury brands. I have no interest in guaranteeing authenticity. The fakes are so fantastic these days that I don't even want to get into that. But anyway, there you go. There's my next installment. And I have probably one more installment to bring you on my vintage bag collection. So have a great weekend. Leather bag lady out.